Specific English for Police Officers, Unit 1, Common Police Vocabulary, Part 2, Police Vocabulary from letter D to N. This is a continuation of Common Police Vocabulary. This part contains vocabularies from letter D to N. As we saw it previously, we are looking at the vocabulary part of speech, its meaning, and examples in sentences. For example, here we have the noun defamation. This means an abusive attack on a person's character or good name. Example, she sued him for defamation. Delinquent, noun. This is a young offender. Example, delinquent teenagers. We have two acronyms here, DUI and DWI. Both mean driving after drinking too much alcohol. The first one, the first acronym means, or it is in full, driving under the influence. The second is driving while intoxicated. Example, your record says that you have 2 previous deals. Detective, now. It's a police officer who is responsible for solving crime. Example, the detective is going to ask you a few questions about the man's appearance. Do time is a verb plus noun. This means receiving punishment for a crime by spending time in jail. Example, you won't be required to do any time, but you will have to pay a fine. Domestic dispute. This is an argument or trouble in the home that often leads to violence. Example, we've had a number of calls reporting a domestic dispute in your hotel room. Embezzlement, noun. This means the fraudulent appropriation of funds or property. Example, he was charged of fraud and embezzlement. Epilepsy, noun. This means a nervous disorder characterized by convulsions. Example, the human brain is the source of human epilepsy. Escape, verb. This means to get away from a holding place. Example, if you try to escape, we will have to restrain you with handcuffs. Felonious, noun. This is used to refer to something involving or being or having the nature of a crime. Example, it was said that his conduct was felonious. Felony, noun. This means a major crime. Example, murder is considered a felony and is punishable by life in prison. Fictitious, adjective. This refers to something that is formed or conceived by the imagination. Example, reports of a deal were dismissed as fictitious by the minister. Fine, noun. This is a kind of money that a person pays for breaking a law. Example, you can get charged a large fine for speeding in a school zone. Fingerprints, noun. These are marks left by fingers that identify a person. Example, we are going to have to check your personal belongings for fingerprints. Firearms, noun. These are weapons that shoot. Example, it is illegal to carry unregistered firearms such as rifles and pistols. Forcible, adjective. Impelled by physical force, especially against resistance. Example, we can see signs of forcible entry. Fugitive is a person who has escaped from captivity or is in hiding. Example, they are fugitives from justice. Gang. This noun refers to a group of people often associated with crime and drugs. Example, stay away from this area at night as there is a lot of gang activity. Guilty, adjective. This is used to refer to somebody who is responsible for a crime deserving of punishment. Example, you will be considered innocent until you are proven guilty. Handcuffs, noun. They refer to metal rings that attach to wrists to keep criminals or the accused from escaping. Example, we put your boyfriend in handcuffs because we saw him climbing through your window and thought he was an intruder. Harassed, adjective. This means troubled persistently, especially with the petty annoyances. Example, it is a godsend for harassed parents. Heroin. This is simply a narcotic that is considered a hard drug. Hindrance, noun. This is a thing that provides resistance, delay, or obstruction to something or someone. Example, that was said to be the hindrance to the development process. Homicide, noun. This means the killing of a human being by another human being. Example, he was charged with homicide. Illicit, adjective. This is used to refer to something forbidden by law, rules, or customs. Example, he is accused of selling illicit drugs. Imaginary, adjective. This means not based on fact or unreal. Example, many children have imaginary friends, people they talk to who aren't real. Incidentally. This means by the way, and it is used to introduce a new topic. Example, incidentally, it was many months before the whole truth was discovered. Incoherent, adjective. This means without logical or meaningful connection. Example, the reasons do not follow each other logically and do not even relate. Inhabited. This means having inhabitants or lived. Innocence, noun. This means the state of being innocent of a crime or offense. Example, they must prove their innocence. Innocent, adjective. This means not responsible for the crime. Example, we'll believe you are innocent when you show us your receipt for the items in the bag. Interfering, adjectives. This is said of a person tending to interfere in other people's affairs. Example, he showed me that interfering old woman. Interrogation, noun. This means an instance of questioning. Example, police stations usually have interrogation rooms for questioning suspects. Intruder, noun. This is a person who enters a home or business illegally. Example, someone was called to report an intruder on the 3rd floor. Irrational, adjective. Not logical or reasonable. Example, do you jump onto a chair and scream when you see a mouse? If so, you have an irrational fear of mice or mesophobia. Laceration. This is a deep cut or tear in skin or flesh. Example, he suffered laceration to his head and face. Jail or prison. Now, this means a place where criminals are confined. Example, the guards will be patrolling the prison all day long. Malicious. This is having the nature of threatening evil. Example, he was found guilty of malicious damage. Manslaughter. This means the crime of killing a person when the killer did not intend it or cannot be responsible for his or her actions. Example, the defendant was convicted of manslaughter. Miscarriage of justice. This is a situation in which someone is punished by the law courts for a crime that they have not committed. Example, many people oppose the death penalty because of the possibility of miscarriage of justice. Mischief. This means reckless or malicious behavior causing annoyance in others. Example, she was bent on making mischief. Misdemeanor. Now, this means a minor crime or punishment, usually a fine or less than 1 year in jail. Example, stealing a road sign is considered a misdemeanor but is punishable by a large fine. Noise complaint. This is a call to the police to complain of disturbing noise, usually music or a party. Example, 2 of your neighbors have made a noise complaint tonight.